Hello, bachon. How are you all doing? I know, exams are just around the corner and the tension must be building up. But don't you worry one bit. I'm here to make everything super simple and, believe it or not, fun for you. Today we are going to quickly go through the beautiful chapter Madam Rides the Bus. And I promise, by the end of this, you'll feel completely ready to score full marks.
But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted something so badly? I mean, really wanted it. Maybe it was a new phone, a trip with friends, or just that one pair of shoes you saw online. Something you just couldn't stop thinking about day and night? Well, our story today is about a little girl who had a dream just like that. A dream she was ready to do anything for.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Meet the hero of our story, Valli am I, but everyone just calls her Valli. Now, she's only 8 years old, but boy, is she curious about everything. And for Valli, the most exciting place in the entire world wasn't some playground or a park. Nope, it was the front doorway of her house, where she could just stand and watch the world go by. See, Valli didn't really have any friends her own age on her street to play with. So what was the most fascinating thing in her life? You guessed it, the bus. This bus used to travel between her village and the nearest town, and it would pass her house every single hour, like clockwork. For Valli, watching this bus, always filled with new, interesting people, was a source of unending joy. It was like her own little window to a world she had never seen. And you know what happens when you watch something every day, right? A tiny little wish started to grow in her heart. And that tiny wish just grew bigger and bigger until it became this huge, overwhelming desire. Her one big goal in life became just this, to ride that bus, even if it was just once. Oh, she would feel so jealous watching other people get on and off. But here's the really cool part, Bachum. Valli wasn't just a dreamer. Oh no, she was a brilliant planner, a little mastermind. Valli knew that just dreaming won't get you anywhere. You need a plan. So she started to prepare for her grand adventure. Let's see how this clever little girl did it. She basically became a little detective. She started gathering all the information she needed. She would listen so carefully to her neighbors talking about their bus journeys. And then, very cleverly, she would ask a few discreet questions here and there, without making anyone suspicious. And piece by piece, she got all the details. The town was 6 miles away. The journey would take about 45 minutes. And the fare. The fare was 30 paise for a one-way trip. So, let's do the simple math here. 30 paise to go and 30 paise to come back. That's a grand total of 60 paise. Now, 60 paise might not sound like a lot of money to us today, but for a little girl like Valli, who probably got no pocket money, it was a fortune. It was a huge amount she had to save up. So how on earth did she manage it? Well, this shows her incredible determination. Every single coin that came her way, she saved it. She had to fight every temptation. No peppermints, no toys, no balloons. And you know what the biggest sacrifice was? At the village fair, she had the money to go on the merry-go-round, but she just controlled herself and walked away. Can you imagine that kind of self-control for a dream? Amazing. So, after all that secret planning and all that difficult saving, the big day finally arrived. One fine afternoon when her mother was taking her nap, Valli quietly slipped out of the house. She stood on the roadside waiting for the bus. Her heart must have been beating so fast. The adventure was finally about to begin.
The moment she got on that bus, Valli was all confidence. The conductor, being a nice man, offered her a hand to help her get up, but she just said she could manage herself, thank you. She made it very clear with this statement that she wasn't just some kid on a ride. She was a proper paying passenger.
The conductor was a really jolly, fun-loving guy. He was so amused and also pretty impressed by this little girl's confident, grown-up attitude that he jokingly started calling her Madam. And just like that, for the rest of the journey, our Valli became Madam. And the journey? Oh, it was magical. Valli's eyes were wide open, taking in everything. The soft seats, the beautiful green fields outside stretching for miles. And then came the funniest part. A young cow with its tail high up in the air started running right in front of the bus, in the middle of the road. Valli thought it so hilarious, she clapped her hands and laughed until tears were rolling down her cheeks. It was pure joy. The ride to the town was filled with all this excitement and laughter. But bachon, this journey wasn't just about having fun. The return trip Well, the return trip was about to teach Valli a very deep, very serious lesson about life itself, a lesson that would change how she saw the world forever. On the way back home, Valli saw the same young cow. But this time, it wasn't running or happy. It was lying lifeless on the side of the road, covered in blood. The very same creature that had filled her with so much happiness just a little while ago now looked horrible and frightening. Her laughter just vanished, and a deep, heavy sadness took over. The memory of that dead cow, it haunted her. Just think about the difference here. On the way to town, she was full of joy, laughing, couldn't wait to look outside. But on the way back, she was quiet, sad, and just glued to her seat. Through that one cow, she saw the beauty and energy of life, and then the terrible reality of death. This was her first real step into understanding the bigger, more complicated world. It was a true growing up moment. Valli finally reached her village. She got off the bus and ran straight home. Her big adventure was over, and her secret was totally safe. Nobody knew where she had been. But the Valli who came back home was not the same Valli who had left a few hours ago. She was a little bit older now and a whole lot wiser. Back at home, her mother was just casually chatting with an aunt, saying something like, "We can never really know everything that's happening in the world around us." And hearing this, Valli wisely says, "Oh, yes." Of course, she was agreeing with her mother, but she was speaking from her own powerful experience of seeing life and death in just one afternoon. This one line, Bachon, it shows just how much she had matured. All right, Bachon, now for the most important part for your exams. Let's quickly go over some super important questions from this chapter. Pay close attention, maybe make some notes, and I promise you we'll be able to write the perfect answers. Ready to score full marks? Let's do this. First question, and it's a very common one. You'll see this pop up a lot. We know the story, but the trick is to structure the answer perfectly for the exam. So why did the conductor call our Valli Madam? What do you think? Here's how you should frame your answer. Always use points. Your examiner will love it. The main idea is that Valli acted like a mature, independent person. She refused help, she said she could manage, she paid her own full fare, no problem. The conductor was just so amused and tickled by her confidence that he jokingly gave her this respectful title, Madam. Simple as that. Okay, next important question. Remember when they reached the town and the kind conductor offered to buy her a cold drink? Valli said no. What does this small action tell us about her character? This is a great character-based question. Again, let's break it down into points. Her refusal shows a few very important things. 1, she was self-respecting. She didn't want any favors. 2, she was responsible. She knew she only had money for her ticket. And 3, she was cautious, right? She was a smart girl. So all these things together show that Valli was a very proud and independent person. And now for the final and probably the most important question. This one really gets to the main theme of the whole story. How did Valli's very first bus journey change her understanding of the world? Think deep for this one. So, the most crucial point to write is that her journey introduced her to the mystery of life and death. That's the key phrase. She learned a tough lesson, that something beautiful and alive, like the cow, could suddenly become lifeless and horrible. This experience made her more mature. It made her understand that some things happen in the world that are just beyond our understanding or control. You see, Valli's little bus ride was so much more than just a ride. It completely changed her. It makes you think, doesn't it? Has a small journey, or maybe even a simple experience, ever taught you a big lesson and made a difference in your life? Give it some thought. Well, that's all for today, Bachcho. I really hope this was helpful. Study well, stay calm, and go rock those exams. All the very best.